could someone please say something so I can make sure that my audio is working?
Yes, this is John Lynch. I think my mic is on, my camera's on.
Perfect. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your time and participation in the CAC. Jim Godfrey, chair of the CAC, and so I just wanted to call the meeting to order, and we have a quorum. So alternates can or can't vote? Can vote. Alternates can vote. So right now we're good. Rick will remind us if that changes. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as published?
Kathy, I see, will move approval of the agenda.
Kathy, Rick, you second? Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Not seeing or hearing any. Okay, thank you very much. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone online or nobody in the room? Any public comments for items not on the agenda?
I have.
You have something? What do you got there, Rick?
I don't know. I was reading through the minutes last time and on the subject of the manhole.
Hold up. Is your thing not turned on?
It I see a green light down here.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. I was looking through the minutes from our conversation with Corey, last month on the manhole covers. And his explanation was fairly decent, but I didn't think complete. The ones up there on, for example, the ones up there on Constitution at Circle, that's been paved since he was relating to how they handle that. If that's the case, then the construction companies that did that were not held responsible for doing the job right. And I want to know why the city isn't calling back on them and making them fix that. Those have to be probably 4 to 5 inches deep. And like I said, you can't miss them because you can't miss them. And so I after reading through the minutes here, I said, well, I don't think I didn't accomplish what I wanted to last time. And I would like to draw attention to the fact that I think the contractors need to be called into account for their lack of taking care of this, and CSU for not following up on their responsibilities of checking them.
Okay.
And
Gail, do you want to make any comment or response to that?
Can't hear you, Gail.
Yeah, I don't think your microphone's on.
Right now?
Not yet.
Nope, it's not coming over yet.
How about this microphone?
Working fine.
Much better.
Something
It's fine. So Gail Stewart, City Engineer, Deputy Public Works Director. Rick, after the meeting, if I could just get the specific stretch of Constitution that you're thinking of, and I will have the contract pulled and look into it with our operations and maintenance team.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, any other items, public comments for items not on the agenda? Not seeing or hearing any, we'll move on to the next item, number 4, approval of the minutes of the June 3rd meeting. Any recommendations to approve as written? Rick, okay. Yes,
I'll abstain. I was not at the last meeting.
okay,
I'll
Right.
second.
great.
Jim. Richard Zamora.
Okay, Richard. All right, we'll take Rich this time, Greg. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Monthly financial report, Lisa.
All right, Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. I think my microphone's working a little bit too well. For the month of April, we collected a total of 13,296,521, which came in above the monthly budget by $1,154,023, or 9.5%. When we look at April 26 revenues, they came in above April 25 actual by 480,799, or 3.8%. Any questions?
And we expect to get the May revenue here shortly, a week or so.
Yeah, it's usually around the 10th.
Okay. All right, let's hope that's in the right direction. Any trends or already negative you hear about?
Haven't heard of anything negative, so
Okay.
hopefully it'll just keep being as
I
positive
think
as it.
I think Cherie and the city people think theirs is going well too, so. All right, thank you very much, Lisa. Any questions for Lisa? Not seeing any. Okay, thank you. Item number 6, capital maintenance and public transportation contracts, City of Colorado Springs. Gail, you back on.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the CAC. The City of Colorado Springs is presenting 6 contracts for your recommendation of approval. The first one is for the Fillmore Street Bridge Replacement Project. This is a PPRTA 3 A-list project. There's a map included in your packages. We selected our engineering firm HDR through a request for proposal process. And this is a change order to add construction management, since we're going to be delivering this project through construction management general contractor, and advancing the design to 90% with a preferred alternative. The change order amount is $2,440,175.50. City's second contract is for a bridge maintenance effort on Constitution Avenue over East Fork Sand Creek. There is a map included in your packet, so you could see where that's located. This is the maintenance on this bridge will include waterproof membrane, new asphalt decking, new sidewalks, and joint maintenance. We went through our on-call pricing for this maintenance effort, and the total for it is $949,704. City's third contract is for another bridge maintenance project. This is Old Ranch Road over Kettle Creek. There is a map included in your packet. This is bridge maintenance when we did go through and select the consultant through a request for proposal RFP process, and it went to Hardesty and Hanover. We are change ordering some work in and making a correction on transfer. So when I initially brought this contract, we thought, based on our initial assessment of the work, that Colorado Springs Utilities would be contributing $80,000 for the work. As it turns out, that's not the case. So the original contract amount we need to cover with $80,000, and then the change order amount is $190,955.50. So the total PPRTA action is for $270,599.50, but the only new money is added to the the only increase in the overall contract value is $190,955.50.
Gail, I got a question. Where along, I know that bridge is somewhere near the county city ownership thing, where does that,
Yeah, the
is that
city-
line drawn west or east of that bridge?
Well, great question, and it unfortunately doesn't matter anymore. Josh gave me a lemon. No, I'm just kidding. The city took on ownership of all of Old Ranch Road in
Okay.
this area, everything that's west of Powers Boulevard.
Okay,
We do have, and I meant to mention this when I was doing the description, this is a bridge maintenance activity we're doing in advance of a future RTA3 project, which is the overall widening improvements to Old
Right.
Ranch Road from Voyager through Kettle Creek. So recognizing our project limits, what's going to be at this bridge, and realized what the road cross section is going to be, and looking at the bridge condition, thought it was important to go do bridge maintenance and also do this widening and make sure we have the ability to get the shared use path over this trail. So we're doing all that right now with this bridge maintenance effort.
all right, a second question, if I remember right, and correct me, please, either Josh or you, but it seems like there was a homeowner right in that area years ago that had a problem. That there was a problem person on the north side of that road, said they had a barn or something there. Do you recall any?
Yeah, there's actually a couple different things. There's a directly adjacent property owner we've been coordinating with them when they did some improvements on their site. They'd had easement and right-of-way reservations, and then there's an active development just to the west of that, the cottages at Kettle Creek. That's I believe it's an apartment complex or townhomes that are be going in there. So we've been coordinating all the improvements in that area. So when we do bridge maintenance, what we're doing, we're not leaving work that's gonna have to be throwaway when we go and do the future RTA3 project.
Okay, thank you.
You know, John Lynch with a brief question.
Go ahead, John.
What was the basis for the assumption that utilities would be in and why are they not?
So we have what's referred to as utility relocation executive agreement. And that outlines how much, based on the type of improvements, I'm sorry, the type of the relocation and the age of the pipe or material that needs to be relocated. We have a graduated table that shows what the the cost split is between the city and Colorado Springs. When this line was initially located, it was shown to be in the public right of way, so this agreement would have applied. But then, as it turns out, it's actually in a separate dedicated easement, and when that's the case, the city is 100% responsible for relocation cost.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thanks, Bill.
All right, I'm going to move on to contract 4. This is for a programmatic A-list improvement under the intersection improvements program. This is for the Lake Avenue intersection improvements at Southgate and Colorado Avenue or Colorado 115. There's a map included in this area. We've talked about this project before, but just to give you a reminder, this was where the city wanted to do safety improvements at Lake and Southgate. State was also at the same time looking at improvements at basically Nevada Ado 115 at the same time. So they're so close together in their ability to work together. The city took the lead position to deliver both projects. There is a map including, you can kind of see the areas of the limits shown on the map. But we are getting ready to do engineering services during construction and construction management. We have went through an RFP process and selected basis partners. This is going to be for a total amount of $439,660. The PPRTA portion is 10% of that, which is $43,966. The rest is grant funded. The city's 5th project is another capital program for under the intersection improvements program. This is for Old Broadmoor Road and Poplar Street intersect. There is a map included in your packet, and you can see from the map these intersections, these roads were offset. And as it turns out, we have a localized flooding problem in that area. We partnered with the city stormwater enterprise to realign the intersection to improve safety, and then give them the opportunity to fix this flooding condition. The total amount under the IFB, we had 2 bids. We selected RG Gleason. The total is $472,560, and the PPRTA portion of that is $150 or $150,000. And the city's 8th contract is also a bid bridge maintenance project. This is the 8th Street over Fountain Creek and is directly adjacent to the RTA to 8th Street Improvements Project. We, similar to what we're doing on Old Ranch Road, we attempted to do rehab and widening it so we could get that additional travel lane and remove that separate pedestrian bridge and have it all in one structure. That part's gone great, but when they went to go do the decking on the west side, realized they found out some major structural deficiencies on one of the girders and on one of the abutments. So we're having to go through and do some additional work for this bridge maintenance project. I have a not to exceed value for this particular one to go into Kramer North America in the amount of $853,486.35. So I'm happy to answer questions on these contracts and appreciate your favorable consideration.
Any questions for Gail? Any online? Don't see any. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the city's request for these 8 contracts?
Barb Winter, I move for approval.
Thank you.
John.
Rick, your second. Rick will second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, Josh. You're up. 6B. Hard time.
How about now? Okay, there we go. Josh Palmer, county engineer. The county has 6 contracts to present to the CAC today. The first 2 contracts are for the Deer Creek Road, Base Camp Road and Microscope Way projects. It's a PPRTA 2A list project that is making drainage, roadway and intersection improvements, as well as including the construction of a roundabout at Deer Creek and Woodmore Road. The first is a construction contract to West Fork Construction, in the amount of $3,685,463.90. The second, like I mentioned, for the same project is a materials testing contract to GeoCal. This is to provide materials testing for the project during construction, and this is a contract amount of $31,215. The third contract that we have is a property acquisition. This is for the Highway 105 Phase B project, also a PPRTA 2A list project. This is to procure a permanent right-of-way as well as temporary construction easements for one property, the Brewster property, and the agreed upon acquisition amount is $100,000 even. The next 3 contracts, they're all similar, so I'm going to explain the process and I'll just go through each one of the contracts themselves. So a few years ago, the county tried something new with our annual concrete maintenance project. Rather than procuring one contractor to perform all the work in a given year or over a couple of years, depending on the contract type, we put out a request for qualifications and pre-qualified several contractors. And what this did is it gave the county some flexibility in assigning tasks to one or multiple contractors to perform work at any given point in the county. So the overall project amount stayed the same, but we were able to get flexibility, and it gave us some efficiencies with schedule and with costs. So it proved very successful. We've been doing that ever since, and we've been applying the same process now to some of our other maintenance contracts. So that's what we have here. 3 of our annual maintenance contracts. First is a not to exceed amount to various contractors for our drainage maintenance work. Jim, would you like me to read through all the different contractors that are part of that not to exceed amount? There's quite a few. I can if you'd like.
I don't, anybody really want to see the list, or is that something we need to worry about? Or?
The list is in the memo for each one of these, all the contractors that have been pre-qualified. So, okay, great. So it's a not to exceed amount of $1,500,000. And these would be task orders issued to various contractors for our drainage maintenance work. The second is likewise a statement of qualification contract for our bridge repair, annual bridge repair contract, in an amount aggregate amount not to exceed $500,000, again, to various contractors, also listed there in the memo for this item. The third is for our annual guardrail repair work. Aggregate amount not to exceed $150,000, again, to various contractors listed in your packet in the memo. And these are the 6 contracts that the county has, and I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Josh? Anybody online?
No questions on these, but question on Beacon Light Road.
Let's get a vote on this and come back to that because I got an additional question as well. Do I have a motion to approve the county's request for project?
To approve 6 items as presented by Josh. Castle County.
And David Zelenak, I would second that motion.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, Dave, your question.
Josh, a great overview as always. Glad to support everything you folks are doing as always. Had a question. Tell us about Beacon Light Road. I know there's PPRTA money in that, and there's a little convenience store that's in the news being proposed supposedly called Bucky's. Can you give us an overview? And I'm not sure it's a convenience store. I think by some opinions it may be. But there is PPRTA money in Beacon Light Road, I seem to recall. Can you give us an overview as to how our funds are being spent and what's going on with respect to that little convenience store?
I will say that the county is dedicated to delivering on the voter approved project based on the design that was completed and the budget that was allocated. So the contractor is out there completing the work based on the approved design. Since there is nothing that has been officially submitted or approved by the county for any development at Beacon Light and County Line Road, we did delay our advertisement for construction by a few months just to allow for some additional time in case any approvals came in for the development, to make sure that we weren't, because we had seen preliminary sketches of what sort of roadway improvements may be required if a certain convenience store had gone in there or not. So we didn't want to do any throwaway work or work that would have to be removed.
And that's my question.
If a developer had come in and was required to make additional improvements. Since nothing had been submitted, we didn't want to wait any longer because, as you know, the longer you wait, the more costs go up. We wanted to deliver the project and not delay it any longer. We did give a little bit of time to allow for some, if there was any development or any approvals that came through. Nothing's happened yet. Nothing's been approved. Nothing's been submitted as far as the development of that site actually. So we expect the project's going on right now. Right now the schedule says they should be done by the end of the year. It may, some of the final work may kind of carry over into January or February of 2027, but the bulk of it, if not all of the designed and construction approved work will be completed most likely by the end of the year.
A great overview. Thank you. My number one concern, I'm sure my colleagues here share my concerns on throwaway work. I wouldn't want to see us spending $1 million, let's pick a number, PPRTA dollars, only to have it ripped up next spring when the little convenience store goes in and they need to have whatever the improvements, the exactions are that you're able to.
Now, I will say that the town of Monument has since annexed Beacon Light Road up to pretty much to the limits of that yet to be developed property.
Oh,
so once we complete the Beacon Light Road project, the majority of that will now become the responsibility of the town of Monument to own and maintain. There is a certain portion, I think the last 600 feet or so, basically the adjacent roadway to that property is still technically county property, but the rest of Beacon Light all the way down to where Monument had previously owned has been annexed into the town of Monument.
So in other words, it's a throwaway project, not under.
No, yeah, they're getting a brand new, I think it's a great deal for Monument. They're getting a brand new road that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, I was withhold my question and asked you guys offline. It had to do with South Academy and well, it's out here. It's out here. No, Larry, go ahead.
Josh, as I remember, the original project for Beacon Light Road
was to go all the way up to county line. But the county made the decision through your office, and this goes back to what you were referring to, Dave, is to actually pull part of that project back from County Line Road to, I don't know how many feet, but that part is not being developed as part of this construction project for that exact reason, is you did not want to get into the situation of having to build something and then having to redo it again. And so it doesn't go all the way to County Line Road, but they are getting the large majority of Beacon Light developed and reconstructed.
Partially right. What we did was the project will go all the way to county line. What we did was we decided to phase the project. So we had the south phase and the north phase of the project. The reason we did that was so we could advance the construction, at least for the south phase, and to get that under contract and get that work going while we waited to see if there was any approvals for any development. So the north phase essentially is what would be accounted for within the limits of any roadway improvements from the development. Since nothing's come in, we're going to continue. So Beacon Light Road will get paved from Wakanda to the south all the way to County Line Road. What we did exclude was any improvements to County Line Road itself. The original scope had us making some more significant intersection improvements at County Line Road. However, those improvements required some easements on the north side of County Line Road that were owned by the conservation easement in Douglas County. We've spent years working through the process of acquiring, it wasn't right away, they were just construction easements. However, apparently it's very difficult to get construction easements in property that's in a conservation easement. However, once it became obvious that there was a likelihood of some sort of development going on at that corner of County Line and Beacon Light Road, we hadn't heard much from the conservation group as far as getting our easement. So while the development itself didn't force us to eliminate or to remove improvements to County Line Road itself, our inability to get the easements that we needed from the conservation group because of their concern with the development. I'm projecting. I haven't heard specifically that they're in any way opposed or concerned with the development, but once news got out that there was a potential development of a convenience store at that corner, we were ghosted by the conservation group. We hadn't heard back from them. The ball was in their court for over a year. We still haven't heard back from them. So rather than continue to wait and push off a phase of the project while we were waiting for some temporary easements, we removed the improvements to County Line Road. So Beacon Light will get paved from County Line Road all the way south to where it is currently paved. We just removed the intersection improvements and any improvements to County Line Road itself. That makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, along that line, if that developer does come in, would they be responsible for putting a roundabout or something there? Is that their part of their expense to do that?
Correct. Yeah. We are constructing and making improvements to Beacon Light Road relative to what the current traffic demands dictate. So my expectation would be if any sort of development goes in there, I would assume that there would be some sort of additional improvements, roundabout, turn lanes, a signal. I'm not sure. What we saw in the preliminary sketch plan for the roadway improvements was kind of a realignment of County Line and Beacon Light and a roundabout with some turn lanes and additional access possible, but nothing's written down because nothing has been approved. But my expectation will be some type of additional improvements. So what we are doing is, I don't want to say the bare minimum, but potentially the bare minimum of what is required based on the current traffic demands.
Okay, great.
Because that's all the information that we have. So we make decisions based on the information that we have.
Yep.
A great overview. The only thing I would offer is that representing the county, as I do, I'd be reluctant to support any additional funds for the little convenience store there in the future. If they come back and say we need, pick a number, $1 million of PPRTA money too, because we intend to, I would oppose that. Just an FYI, but great overview. It sounds like you made the right decisions, and I support everything you're doing at this point. So just be cautious moving forward.
We're always cautious.
So
Any other questions on that? My question just said, I got asked a question the other day about how long before the work on South Academy down there is, how much before that's gonna work? I know, I'm not sure in my mind which one's part city, which one's county, but I know you've had some ongoing work down there around bridge abutments and easements and that kind of stuff. I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. There's people are just questioning why we continue to have reduced speed limits and work zones when when it appears like no more work is going on, which is for the most part true. However, the project is 99.9% complete, but there is some additional work, as you know, as projects come to completion. There's punch list items, there's revegetation, there's lots of minor work that will continue for the next several months. And rather than removing work zones and adding work zones, and increasing speeds and reducing speeds, we thought it was the safest option just to keep the work zones and the speed reductions in place until we knew that any work that would require encroachment into the roadway was complete.
Okay,
So my expectation is within the next couple months, the work zones will be removed and speeds will resume what they were before.
okay, great. Yeah, thank you very much. Any other questions for the county? Okay, do I have a motion to approve? Oh, we did that already. Right. Yep, sorry. Second. I'm an old fart, so I just, I gotta get this right. All right. All right, item 6C, City Manitou Springs Capital Projects. Karen.
Karen Rowe, City Manitou Springs representative for PPRTA. We're here waiting for the screen to update, but to request a line item transfer, and it's a very basic line item transfer from the PPRTA program. There were 3 projects. The downtown utilities and sidewalks needed funding for Creek Walk 4. Creek Walk 4 is now completed. All the invoices are submitted and paid. So I'm taking the remaining amount of that money. It's a small amount, $2,867, and asking it to go to the Hiawatha parking. Because that's still under construction and could use a little more money. So the Hiawatha parking has PPRTA 2 money, and it'll use up whatever's left in the PPRTA program. So that's what the transfer is for.
Any questions for Karen on Manitou's project? I don't have a motion to approve Karen's Manitou's project as presented.
So moved, Barb Winter.
Hey, Barb. Carl? Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
And so thank you for that approval. That's great. There were some slides up here. So the Hiawatha Gardens mobility hub is nearly complete. We're in the punch list phase. These were some pictures taken about 2 weeks ago. You can see up on your screen for they're paving the parking lot. The restroom is nearly done. The bathroom there. There will be a ribbon cutting on July 20th. And you guys are all invited. However, the time has not been determined yet. So they have a date. I don't have all the itinerary information, but the project should be done and open to the public with ribbon cutting January or July 20th. Sorry.
awesome. It's taking a while.
Yeah, and so this is kind of exciting because the City Manitou Springs will close out PPRTA 2 funds. We can just focus on PPRTA 3, which right now is the Lover's Lane wall repair and the maintenance funding. So
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Karen? Thank you very much. Oh, David.
Quick comment, nice work. Kudos to you and everyone in Manitou
Yeah.
for not just this work, but for the paperwork, for all the extra effort. You folks have made a tremendous difference in the last few months. Just want to note that on the positive side.
oh, good.
And we'll encourage you to keep up the good work you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
I don't see anything or know of anything for Callahan, Green Mountain Falls, or Rama. Any last minute stuff, Rick? Nothing? Okay, all right, we'll move on to 7A, Member of Government's Colorado Springs Transit.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the CAC. My name is Lan Rao, the Transit Division Manager for Mountain Metro Transit. In our monthly report, the first section is basically our some key performance indicators. Ridership is one of them, but ridership is not the only metrics that captures the service. So we also included revenue service hours, which captures the supply side of business and how many hours we're running, and also the efficiency side of how many people are using the service, which is ridership per hour. So the information is included in this section, and we normally report numbers a little behind once we have final information. So in this July report, we included the May data. Then moving on to the second section of our report, which is called Transit Highlights. This is the section that we normally capture projects or key topics and something that we would like to share. And this month we included a hybrid vehicle technology and maintenance savings item, as well as our travel training program. There have been some questions since we introduced hybrid pilot buses in 2025. We purchased 6 buses delivered in 2025 and another 6 in 2026. With the hybrid vehicles, these are still early. We're still in the testing their first year phase, but we do see some benefits. In general, these hybrid buses are more reliable on full battery electric vehicles because they do not require charging infrastructure, and we do not have to worry about, do I need 2 buses for one because of the limit of the battery range. So that is very positive. We could see that reliability. And also they do, compared to diesel buses, they are more quiet in neighborhood, especially in some more populated residential neighborhoods. People do welcome that on them. So those are some benefits that we see other than besides maintenance cost and fuel. Then the second paragraph, we did include some dollar amount. A couple questions came up at the board meeting last month. So we included vehicle maintenance costs. Again, these are still first year information, still early. We do see a huge benefit, of course, buying newer buses compared to the ones we retired, because with newer vehicles, you do see that huge savings in just breakdown, maintenance, parts. And then we also looked at how about, so basically the first year regular maintenance with the new hybrid, how much are they costing us versus the ones we just were in the process of retiring. So we're looking at about $7,500 per year with the new hybrids compared to $48,000 with the ones we're retiring. So it just reinforces the message that we really need to keep up with replacing older aging fleet. We also compared, which is not part of the report, we further looked at how about hybrid maintenance versus diesel maintenance in the first year. So a little more apples to apples comparison. So we're looking at about $7,500 versus $12,000. Again, these are very early numbers, just 1 year into the first 6 pilot program. We did hear with the battery electric buses, the life cycle cost could be higher towards the end of the BEVs. So we're still monitoring this for the hybrid, and we'll report back while we have more information.
What's the life expectancy of the battery in the hybrids? Is it fairly long or short term?
About 8 years. They're not as critical as the battery electric full battery
Okay.
buses. Second item we included in this section is travel training. This is a program similar to trainer type of programs we other folks offer. And we really, with this program, we really focus on training the staff members at some key organizations with some key partners and organizations. For example, the Independent Center or the Family Success Center with United Way. So they have staff members there working with their clients who ride the bus, and our staff time and what we can do reaching out all the clients are difficult. So instead we offer classes, we train their staff members who work with their clients on a daily basis. And the class is getting more and more popular. We're getting a lot of requests to offer these classes. And we also work with universities and large employers to offer those classes. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Karen?
We used to, before the challenges with parts shortage, vehicle shortage, we used to dispose them through auction. The city has a program through, it's a joint effort for disposing any fixed asset that we no longer need and met useful life. However, in the last few years, we have been very creative trying to get the parts maybe from this retired vehicle on the different vehicle, try to keep more working. And since the pandemic, we got approval from the Federal Transit Administration to create a contingency fleet targeting at vehicle shortage or emergency response training programs. And we got the approval to build the program. We haven't had the chance to truly put working buses into this contingency fleet until now. So I think our shorter, more immediate plan would be put any bus that is still working into the contingency fleet for these reasons, and then looking at retirement even further down the road.
Dave?
A great overview, as always, Lan. I have a question for you about fire evacuation. I know that District 12, you probably know this, has no school buses. It's crazy to say that, so I'll say it again. School District 12 has no school buses. And on a day like today, when our attention is on red flag issues, Waldo Canyon fires, with one or two major mega fires now burning in Colorado. And fortunately, as you know, school's out for the summer. But if school were in for the summer, tell me about my understanding from talking to other parts of the city government is that they rely on you in part to evacuate all the school kids from a fire zone during a fire emergency. And I'm not sure I understood that correctly, or if you practice that. Can you just talk about evacuating District 12 kids since they have no school buses, what your role would be in a day like today? Fire comes over Cheyenne Mountain, God forbid, school were in, and what would your first reaction? How would your folks respond? Given you have a contingency fleet, would you actually fire that up, or would you stop service in other parts of what would you do this afternoon?
We normally work with the Pikes Peak Office of Regional Emergency Management. So that office will make that determination of emergency, what's going on, resources. And in the real emergency situation, I think we have been providing emergency rescue over the years, Waldo Canyon, or the hail at over Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. So it has happened over the years. In that situation, contingency vehicle is not the only resource, it's all hands on deck. What we can do, if we have to find more resources, we will do that.
Any other questions? Right?
In the van pool section, you were talking about the one van pool was discontinued. And you mentioned recruiting riders. What does the rider recruitment process look like if you need to find more people to keep a van pool going?
It's a lot of, we actually tried many different things. Word of mouth, we went to schools, employers, events. If we have, for example, a group asking for service, we not only look at the fixed route availability in the area, and sometimes it's not really, or we don't have an immediate plan to add more service in this area. We would look at is van pool an option. What we noticed in recent years, and we also tried billboards, we tried different marketing strategy, surveys. It was very successful pre-COVID. We were running 25 vans on average. Since COVID, I think what we noticed, what we learned is this teleworking had a huge impact. Even if we're back in office, COVID is over, but this trend seems to stay. And we do have, because there are federal funds, and we do follow strict policy. For example, you have to ride or intend to ride 3 times a week in order to achieve that van pool benefit. And a lot of people are not meeting that. And we have also seen a lot of job change, migrating in and out of state. So a lot of factors, but it has just not come back.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions for Lan? Great. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
Just 2 things. I noticed, there was a downturn in June all the way down the line. Were you up against the figures last year? Is that part of that summer food right program? Sorry.
Oh, June this year, so the report information is only available as of May this year.
I'm in May.
May. Yeah. So compared to 2025, we did have decrease across the board, and that was mainly because of we had 1 less weekday in 26.
And the other thing is that you mentioned that buses affect the air quality in certain areas. That they shut down or something, they do it.
They're more quiet in neighborhoods.
I thought that there was sections in the town where air quality made a difference. And the buses picked that, and you had, they were able to detect that, and they would shut down their electric.
Oh, the geofencing zone.
Yeah.
So it is a technology. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, it is an option with hybrid vehicles that with some of those vehicles you can set up. It's called geofencing zone. Normally when the buses are running on the road, the computer decides whether or not they're running on electric mode or diesel mode to achieve optimal fuel usage efficiency. But we can, in certain areas, force the vehicles to be running in full electric mode.
Okay.
We have just set up 2 zones so far for testing, and we'll see how that goes. But you can force them to be electric only.
And you have what sensors that you plant, or is it? In other words, how do they detect the areas that you determined?
It's basically you set it up through the computer system. We have a system that the vehicles
So
are.
it's on GPS.
Yes,
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
it is.
The drivers obviously have a hard time deciding whether the bus is working or whether it's working, because it keeps turning on and shutting off. That's got to be a hassle.
Training was a big part.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Lan? All good questions. Thanks, Lan. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Have a good afternoon. All right, we'll move on to item 7B. This is the Colorado Springs change order and monthly acquisition report. Any questions for Gail? It's in your packet. Carl?
So just out of curiosity, I actually looked at this section this month, and I saw the 2.1 million for slurry seal maintenance. And it's a curiosity question. Is that for citywide or a certain mileage of chip seal?
Yeah, it's for an overall program and we actually brought it as a contract in June. So you've seen the whole thing before. It still makes it to the log, even if you see it as a contract here for approval. And it had more details in there. I'd be happy to pull it up after the meeting if you need a refresher. All right. Yep, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions on the property acquisition and change order request? Right, very good. Thank you very much. Item 7C, Powers North reimbursement update.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Godfrey, Gail Sturdivant again. So we have a couple months worth of statements included on here, bringing, adding an additional reimbursement for PPRTA funds to $677,366.01, with the total at just under $22.1 million. And then you can see there's a portion additional fees going to Colorado Springs Utilities for their reimbursement amount is over $1.8 million. But just to give you an idea where construction is progressing, they did complete the water line relocations at Ridgeline Drive and Flying Horse Club Drive. They actually started driving piles for the 2 new bridges at those locations yesterday. I have a lovely video on my phone if you're interested in seeing that afterwards. And we're continuing to advance the NEPA, the 1601 process with CDOT, and the engineering for the mainline effort. So that's the overview on powers and the reimbursement statement. Any questions?
I just got a question. And I won't speak for Larry if I don't remember this accurately, but when we went up to the open house a couple months ago, we did not, or I did not, witness a whole lot of negative feedback from as we were talking to people about this. Now that construction's underway and there's some minor inconveniences and whatnot, has any of that changed? Are people still pretty accepting of the whole project?
The fact that none of it's making it to me, then yes, the answer must be close to yes. I think we had a problem with the temporary irrigation line there next to Flying Horse Club. That was the one thing that brought to my attention, but all the parties out there are working well between the Flying Horse HOA, the Metro District that's out there, and the businesses. The public sentiment is mixed. A lot of folks are glad it's finally going to be done. The detours are working well. Oh, I did have one other. I had somebody complain about Jake brakes, which, by the way, I found out are legal in Colorado Springs. I did not actually know that until I had to go look it up. But we've since resolved that. In fact, it was a contractor's policy not to have braking going on in the neighborhood. So they were already on resolving it. But otherwise, it seems okay. I live in the area as well, so I hear stuff from my neighbors. So they're frankly more concerned about the adjacent development than Powers Boulevard.
Got Gail, question, Highway 83 in Powers. Are you nearing agreement with the state on exactly what you're going to do there at that intersection yet?
We are getting closer, but we have not made a final decision.
What is it tending toward? Okay, moving on.
To be determined. We actually took a step back and redid some screening analysis. And that's why I can't tell you what was leading before. The 2 top ones were really much tied and we had a preference. We've taken a step back to redo the analysis in a slightly different way. So I haven't seen the results yet to actually know which way it's leaning.
I'm sure the people on Intercrest are going to be happy and businesses are going to be sad because they're going to get the volume drops down. But all right, great update on it. Thank you, Gail. All right. Item 7D, El Paso County change order and acquisition, property acquisition. Any questions for Josh on that packet? Not seeing anybody online or on the room. Okay, we'll move on. 8A, board actions. Rick?
The memos in your packet. Be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, not seeing or hearing any. We'll go to 8B, staff field review report.
This is the results of my quarterly windshield drive around. I just found three little address issues, but everything, it's 99.99% in the good column.
So for the newer members, this report, when Rick gets invoices that company A says they've done X number of linear feet of concrete, Rick once a quarter gets in his car and rides around and looks and verifies that they've done that. And I've ridden with him in the past and it's pretty thorough. He's very good about doing what he does. And so this is just verifying that we're spending the promises made, promises kept, and spending the money as we said we were going to do it. So thanks, Rick. All right. Agenda items for next meeting. Anybody got any questions or comments? Suggestions? Okay, we'll put more on the consent agenda and we'll knock this out in 20 minutes. Any communications by members for the rest of the people? Rick?
I sent out the most recent CAC roster. I have a few paper copies for those who would like one. If you'll just see me after the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks for updating it, everybody. Appreciate it. It does come in handy. Any other comments? Not seeing any online. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So move. Rick Hoover. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, those online. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in the room in the future. Have a good afternoon and a good evening.